This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability and a generous investment by Julianne Wrigley.
I moderated a session over at the museum sponsored by a new group called the United States Energy Security Council. United States Energy Security Council. Jim Woolsey, the former director of the CIA, Robert McFarlane, former national security advisor to President Reagan. Alan Greenspan was there. He needed translation, but we finally got through it. He is neither irrational nor exuberant these days, less so today than he was yesterday. A couple of senators, former Senator Gary Hart were there, and these people have joined former Assistant Secretary of the Army, of the Air Force, former Commandant of the Marine Corps, were there to make the case for the need for change and reform from the perspective of American national security. Their proposal is depressingly simple. And it is that they were up on the Hill, lobbying the Hill, to pass a bill that was submitted in a bipartisan fashion yesterday, simply to require over a great deal of time that any car sold in this country contain a flex fuel sensor, which costs around $100, so that a car could run on a variety of fuels, gasoline, ethanol, methanol, what have you. What was depressing about it was that's all they were asking for, because they can't get any more off the Hill. They know the auto industry will oppose it. And the pitch they're making is we have to break the monopoly of oil, because 97% of what drives our transportation fleet is petroleum-based. And the way they're going to do it is by putting this flex fuel sensor in every car, and that will create the marketplace for these other fuels, because many of these other fuels will be cheaper. Methanol would be cheaper. And what came up repeatedly was the comparison to Brazil. Anybody been here to Brazil? Okay, and you've seen what they're doing in Brazil, right? 40% roughly of their fuels, transportation fuel, is grown in the sugarcane fuels, from sugarcane ethanol. But here's the difference. In Brazil, when they went here's the other comparison. Roughly every new car sold in Brazil is a flex fuel vehicle. So when I was down there working on a story I was doing, I was driving a rented Chevrolet through the sugarcane fields on 100% straight alcohol, as they call it, alcohol, they say at the pumps. And I look to the camera and I say, why can I drive a Chevrolet flex fuel vehicle like this in Brazil and I can't do it in the United States of America? And essentially that's what these gentlemen are saying. It's absolutely unconscionable that Brazil is eating our lunch on something that we should pioneer for about $100 a vehicle. Here's the difference, though. When they pioneered this technology, if you can call it pioneering, in Brazil, they required that every service station in the country sell the alternative fuel. So when you pull into any service station in Brazil, you can buy gasoline, you can buy alcohol, you can buy ethanol, and you can put any mix. So depending on the price fluctuations of any one of those things, you can decide what to put in your car, and your car will read it and be fine. We're not going to require, these guys don't want to require that in this country. And what they say, we want to let the marketplace work. If you create the market in the vehicle, then the market will take over and the cheaper fuels will grow from there. Maybe they're right. I think clearly it's going to take a lot longer. It's a lot less onerous because, we're in an anti-regulatory mood these days. If you require businesses to put in tanks, it costs a lot of money to do that or to clean out the old ones. But here's what was depressing about it. They had been up on the Hill, and they were basically told, nothing's going to happen on this or anything else by Republicans and Democrats alike. These are veterans. One of the senators who was there was Bennett Johnston of Louisiana. Essentially, they're saying they've not quite seen it like this before. Now, in this environment, I felt yesterday like I'd started the day on this incredible high, hanging around these young people who are building for the future, ending the day with I think the term we use is veterans, who had the political reality of paralysis on the most modest of proposals, shoved in their face. It was like a pie in your face at the end of the day. So this is where I start from, that engaging this challenge, talking about climate, which is such a complicated, emotional issue for so many people, has been made much more difficult by our political environment. And science is not enough. The scientific knowledge that we've got simply isn't adequate to win the day politically and even with the public.
This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability for educational and non-commercial use only.